Welcome everybody, my name is 𝐏𝐨𝐬𝐬𝐬 and this is the Market Meditations podcast. We chat with fascinating people from around the world to extract mindsets, routines, stories and habits to help you build richer lives. Cryptocurrency traders and investors, welcome to another episode. Now, a lot of you have been asking me about on-chain analytics and how to use them to better navigate the markets. Well, I've brought on the CEO of CryptoQuant, 𝐿𝐸𝐽𝐽, one of the foremost experts in the space on on-chain analytics. He's actually worked with the Korean police to put behind bars a lot of criminals. You're going to love this episode. Before we jump into this episode, don't forget that I send hand-picked market news, insights, and education to over 6,000 traders and investors 3 times a week. To get access to this, all you have to do is sign up to 𝐿𝐸𝐽𝐽.substack.com. Meditators, welcome to another episode of the Market Meditations podcast. I've got another special guest, and I know I say this every time with me today, but this episode is going to be fantastic. We're going to dive deep into on-chain analytics. I've had a lot of requests from people to learn a little bit more about this topic and how it can be used to benefit you in the markets. So, 𝐿𝐸𝐽𝐽, CEO of CryptoQuant, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. And while researching, I actually found out that you were a manager at ICX for 6 months. Now, ICX has a special place in my heart, and a lot of other people in 2017 who were fortunate enough to get in at ICO, and I think it went 120x or something similar to that. How did you get involved with ICX, and how did you get involved in crypto before that? Was this deep into your crypto journey? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Basically, I got into this industry because of the crypto investment, and ICX was the largest interchain projects in Korea. And I just got in icon Foundation for investing in ICX and digging more about the project. And the first job I got there was product management. So we're trying to connect university campuses around in Korea. So what we're doing was building some kind of incentivized platform like 𝐷𝐸𝐻. So alumni donate their money, and then undergrad students, they post some questions and answers like Quora, and then they got incentivized by those tokens. So we made that platform, and it's working it's still working. So
wow,
over 200K users in Korea, they're using students that are using our platform.
So you funded it yourself and you built this, and now it's got 200K users, and it's been running since 2017.
2018.
2018.
And yeah, it's run by Icon Foundation themselves.
Okay, so that's how you got involved with Icon, or was it first you got into Icon and then you built this platform?
First I got into Icon, and then I built a platform. Yeah.
So 𝐿𝐸𝐽, you managed to build this 𝐷𝐸𝐻 replica platform, but then you said you were fascinated by the research behind these blockchain companies. What makes them valuable? Is this how you founded CryptoQuant? Where did this come into the equation?
So basically, I found the Blockchain Research Association, with a bunch of PhD students in Post-Tech University. That's one of the top-notch engineering schools in Korea. I graduated.
Very well
done. So back then, the goal of the project was to build anti-money laundering solution, some kind of chainalysis. And we've been collecting address tables, exchange address table, miners, hedge funds, illicit funds, and other entities since 2017. And we kind of become successful on that. So Korean police, Korean prosecution service, they're using our platform in 2018. So I got involved in investigating the bunch of money laundering cases in Korea, including Anthroom. That's the biggest one recently. Yeah, so I'm kind of realized that I'm just a trader and I'm not a B2B sales guy. And we're just, PhD students and engineering guy. So we kind of pivoted our business model from those anti-money laundering solutions to data provider for traders.
Now, Key, before you move on, what motivated you to work with the government like that? Was it you were interested in helping stop people who were maliciously using the blockchains to money launder and run scams and all these other different types of things? Or was it a very lucrative business opportunity which you spotted in providing a service no one else was?
Actually, both. I thought it was lucrative, but the governments they don't have enough money, and um, and also I was sick of those bunch of scammers. Especially there was a huge bubble in Korea back in 2018. So I'm basically a Bitcoiner, and I believe Satoshi he changed the world. So in order to mass adoption for Bitcoin, the money laundering cases should be removed eventually.
Key, what was the biggest one you guys managed to catch?
Anthroom, that's the it's the child sex abuse in Korea.
And you managed to catch them? No, it's fine. You guys managed
Yeah,
to catch them.
I managed to catch them with Korean police.
Incredible, Key. How did that feel?
It's amazing, and I actually got some kind of threat. I've been threatened by those bad guys just for that. So I got some message from those bad guys.
That is,
I felt scared. Yeah.
I've got goosebumps from just the description to what you've managed to do. That is I think that's the most incredible thing I've heard from anyone that's come on this show, from like CEOs to founders to traders. Incredible, man. That blows my mind. You've got something to be proud of for the rest of your life. Wow.
Thank you very much.
Not at all, man. Whew, that got. Sorry for cutting you off. That description was getting a bit too much, and I think we definitely got the picture of what that was going. So amazing work over there. And then you pivoted the model over to data analytics for traders, the business model.
Yes, data providing business.
And so, for those of us who don't know, what are on-chain analytics? What's the difference between on-chain analytics and off-chain analytics?
So on-chain is some kind of it's a blockchain, blockchain analytics, simply saying. So we see the transaction, the money capital flows between entities, and then find nuggets of insights from there, especially supply and demand. So whenever you decide to sell cryptocurrencies, you have to send a bunch of coins to exchanges, and the exchange determines the price. So it's very important to see the capital flows between exchanges and who sent those coins, like miners and illicit funds, other whales. And these parts are one of the key strategies for on-chain analytics. And also there are fundamental analysis for on-chain data. So whenever coin moves, it tells us the intrinsic value of blockchains. For example, have you heard of realized cap, MVRV, those indicators?
I have, but please do explain them a little bit for our audience because our listeners will not have.
Yeah. So whenever there are tons of coins that are lost before, or people lost their private keys, right?
Yeah.
So the actual coin supply is not the coin mined. The actual supply is the moving coins. So the realized capitalization would be not just price multiply supply. It will be where the price whenever the coin moves. For example, if 100 Bitcoin moved in 2010 with $50, and then there have been no moves on that 100 Bitcoins, that's not the cap. So we have to add the capitalization, just 100 Bitcoin multiply $50.
Yeah. So I think you've given us a lot of information there. So firstly, on-chain analytics basically means you guys are monitoring the blockchain. So what is happening that you can see on the blockchain, not what's happening outside, for example, business decisions made by the companies behind the blockchains or just the raw price data. You're literally watching stuff move about. For example, a key measure being stuff going onto and off of exchanges. Then what you started to talk about there, which was very interesting, is the dead wallet. So you guys pay attention to what private keys have been lost and that Bitcoin or whatever other cryptocurrency hasn't moved for a long amount of time. And you specifically measure the movements of those, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Incredible. And so these on-chain analytics, do you trade exclusively with them or do you combine them with other variables?
I combined with other variables like market data, especially order book changes.
Especially what, sorry, Key?
Exchange order book changes.
Okay, so you are watching the order books primarily, combining this with on-chain analytics, and that forms the basis of your trading.
Yeah.
Interesting. And how long have you been trading like this? Is this something you found recently, or have you always traded using these strategies?
I found this recently.
Okay.
And whenever whales, they send a bunch of coins to exchanges, and the order book changes. So we are trying to label whale entities who actually make changes on exchange order books.
So, oh, you're finding the specific entities that are making these changes on the order books.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So whales, they have styles, right? So
please tell us about the whale styles. What styles have you noticed?
So, whales, their execution, their trading in various ways. For example, some whales, they're just using some execution platforms like SFOX. So those whales, SFOX and other trading execution platforms, they're sending Bitcoins to exchanges periodically with certain amount of Bitcoins. But, early investors, like just, 15-year-old kid, they just invested in Bitcoin and then they got rich. These kind of whales are very, unprofessional in some ways. So they're just dumping and they're just sell Bitcoins in market price. So we are trying to label those, unprofessional whales,
Oh, wow.
especially ERC20 tokens. There are a bunch of unprofessional whales in ICO early investors.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because if you identify the unsophisticated, unprofessional whales, you can say, oh, a bad whale's just got on this platform. Let me hop on there and take advantage of a bad decision they're about to make, or something similar to that. That's extremely valuable data. Key, what qualifies as a whale in your definition right now? Is that someone with 7 figures, someone with 8-figure movements? What wallet size makes someone a whale?
It's all relative. So we've seen all exchanges inflow mean. It's the average amount of deposits. So whenever those average amount of deposits is going over 2 Bitcoins, we define those deposits are from whales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's not about,
It's
the
about
number of
whatever the
Bitcoins that
average
they have.
inflow is, and then a certain deviation from that average inflow then qualifies someone as a whale, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Incredible. And everyone who signs up to your platform, CryptoQuant, will have access to this data as well?
Yes. You're saying the inflow mean data?
Well, inflow mean data to begin with, but also all the other different things we've mentioned, like inflows and outflows of exchanges, the means, the deviations, the whale activity.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And okay, so I'm a new trader to on-chain analytics. It's not something I've used before. What would you recommend I do to start out using on-chain analytics to aid my trading? So all I do is use the charts right now. I use the charts and I follow the news. What can I do with on-chain analytics to make my trading better?
So the most important thing in on-chain analytics is supply and demand. So you can see BTC reserve on exchanges and stablecoins reserve on exchanges. So BTC reserve, it's a supply on exchanges, and it would indicate the selling pressure, and stablecoins, it's a buying pressure and indicates the demand. So recently, Bitcoin reserve on exchanges is downward trend, and stablecoin reserve on exchanges is upward trend, which means we're in the bull market.
And when did this trend change start? When did Bitcoin start going down and stablecoins start going up?
Since March great sell-off this year.
Wow, since March, that's when that started. So that's when your data said it's a bull market, right at the bottom. Incredible. And now to leverage a more recent example, I know you guys actually caught a very good short right below 20K, and I'm sure you made good money on that. But then afterwards, you guys were still, now correct me if I'm wrong, but you personally were still a little bit bearish based on the on-chain analytics, but yet the price rocketed through to 20K. What do you think caused that spike in price and has brought Bitcoin to where it is now, despite the on-chain analytics suggesting something more bearish?
So back then, I shorted Bitcoin at the price was around 200K, 20 and 20K and 800.
Yeah.
And the exchange inflow mean I mentioned before, the average amount of deposits is over 3 Bitcoins, which was the highest value since the March gray sell-off.
Wow.
Whales are very, very active on exchanges. So I thought whales are gonna dump Bitcoins, but there are still bigger whales behind there. Bitcoin OG whales, there are small whales. They are
Oh,
depositing to exchanges, but they're not selling because they're waiting for. We just broke the all-time highs, right?
yeah.
So I was dumb. I should have been focused on longs, but uh, that bearish signal has been pretty accurate um, before we breaking all-time highs, but we break all-time highs, and then those whales they're waiting for sell when to sell those coins,
Yeah.
and Grayscale and other institutional buyers are buying bitcoins,
Oh, wow.
and
That's
yeah,
the
it's
transitional wealth, man.
it's not about on-chain analytics. Um, so since then, so we are aware of those Bitcoin OGs are depositing to exchanges a lot. Miners are selling, but OTC deals are ongoing, and institutional buyers are joining this industry. So I think the market cyclic top would be determined when those OTC buying and institutional buying stops, because miners and Bitcoin OG whales they're prepared to sell those coins.
How do
They're
you
ready to sell.
how do you monitor the OTC selling and the non-Bitcoin the OTC buying and the non-Bitcoin inflow into the markets, the non-Bitcoin OG inflow?
So I posted some tweets about this yesterday. So there are three ways to see or estimate OTC deals. So for one, Coinbase beat Bitcoin outflows. So it seems that massive Coinbase Bitcoin outflows usually goes to their new cold wallets for custody that held around 6,000 Bitcoins. And if Coinbase moves a significant amount of Bitcoins to other cold wallets, that would indicate in OTC deals. So as you know, Grayscale uses Genesis trading for buying Bitcoins, and there are pretty strong relationship between Genesis trading and Coinbase OTC desks. And Ruffer just confirmed they purchased Bitcoins through Coinbase. And Coinbase custody is directly integrated with Coinbase OTC desks. So whenever those outflow happens, you have to pay attention. Pay attention. And second, fund flow ratio for all exchanges. So it's the ratio of network transaction volume of exchanges among the entire tokens transferred on the network. So if this value goes up, it implies most of network transactions are exchange deposits and withdrawals. Otherwise, transaction volumes are coming from non-exchange wallets.
Yeah.
Since the price, so non-exchange wallets is usually individual wallets or mixers and tumblers. So since the price eventually determined on exchanges, massive non-exchange transaction volume is considered as a bullish signals. These transactions include OTC deals. So for now, only 5% of network transactions are used for exchange deposits and withdrawals. And this much value happened in February 2019 as well, when major exchanges launched OTC desks. Yeah, and the last but not least is tokens transferred. It's the number of Bitcoins transferred on the network. So if this value goes up and fund flow ratio for all exchanges goes down, it implies that huge OTC deals are ongoing, I think. So we actually predicted the series of OTC deals with these three indicators. So we've been saying there is huge OTC deals ongoing since September this year.
I love how creative you guys have gotten with the data you're monitoring as the markets change. I was speaking to a few people, and we know, like with traditional markets, the derivatives market is bigger than the actual market. As the number of derivatives products increase for crypto, for example, we had CME launch Ethereum futures the other day. Does the on-chain analytics become devalued? Or is it just a case of getting more creative with it, like you have done, to monitor these new deals which are happening right now?
I think we can get more creative because we have some data for derivative exchanges. For example, estimated leverage ratio. So it's the value that open interest divided by BTC reserve on that exchanges. So for example, BitMEX, people can leverage up with their Bitcoins, right? So
Yeah.
if open interest is very high there, but BTC reserve is still flat, people do trading with higher leverage. So that kind of data, creative data, I think.
Yeah, just less flat monitoring. It makes perfect sense. So it's not something you are worried about, being primarily an on-chain analyst, that there are more derivatives products coming out?
Yeah, it's not.
It's not a
I
concern.
don't worry about it.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not.
fair enough. I was just interested because I just imagine it complicates things further and further as it goes into it. Now, where to go next? Are you more focused on your personal trading or CryptoQuant? Which takes up more of your time personally?
Um, I'm more focusing on trading for now because it's really important to find the significant on-chain matrix for actual trading. So I'm trying to become my customer on
Of
on our
course.
platform. Yeah. Yeah.
How many of you are behind it right now? And are you all traders?
Yeah. You mean our team size?
Yeah, for CryptoQuant. How many people are
Yeah.
running CryptoQuant?
We have 10 developers and 2 businessmen, including me.
Wow, 10 developers, 2 businessmen. That's a huge team. I guess, is that necessary for the amount of, well, because there's such complex data behind CryptoQuant, you just need that many people running it? Is it for maintenance or developing new ideas? What takes 10 developers? Because, I mean, I take a look at someone like FTX. You know, they have 3 developers running the entire thing. What makes CryptoQuant need 10 developers?
Basically, labeling addresses is pretty complicated. You have to have blockchain infrastructure as well as labeling technology. So Chainalysis, they got a huge amount of funding this year. We're doing the same without any funding.
Wow.
We're just it's very complicated technology. I would say, yeah.
There's so much potential for what you guys are doing because it's such complicated technology and there's so few people doing it. Do you have plans to pivot away from providing a product for traders and go back into working with governments or swapping to that B2B model at any point? Or is it very much the direction and goal of CryptoQuant now to become the best trader data providers in the space for on-chain analytics?
We'll just focus on traders. B2B, B2G government sales is not my area.
I fully understand. It's It's something you've spoken about and you've made very clear in this podcast. Another thing I wanted to ask about is you seem very bearish on Tether. I've noticed you not be a fan of Tether and refer to it as a scam multiple times. I have two questions. One, is it bullish that Tether's market share is dropping, even though the total market is growing? And also, why do you think Tether is a scam? I suspect your opinion, having so much access to the data behind the scenes, is going to be a lot more valid than a lot of other people's.
It's hard to answer. We've been watching their Bitfinex reserve, especially Bitcoin and stablecoins reserve.
Yeah.
And we thought they're manipulating the market. So whenever the price drops, they kind of prepare their USDT Tether reserve before the drop. And after the drop, they kind of they have prepared USDT reserve for users, so user can withdraw their Tether.
Yeah.
And those Tethers going to Binance and other exchanges. So it would be just coincidence, but Bitfinex and Tether CEO and CTO is the same person.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, actually. And I'm not talking about I'm not pointing out their accounting issues and regulation issues. We just think they're manipulating the market.
Aren't there a lot of new stable coins coming in? I know Binance are trying to make their own. We've got Coinbase, of course. Doesn't that have a lot of the same issues?
No.
Why not?
You mean those Coinbase? We haven't found any indication that they're manipulating market. They don't prepare user withdrawals before the drop.
Of course, what I meant is it's still an exchange who is putting out a stable coin. So the issue isn't that, it's just that Bitfinex are doing it in a very dodgy way.
So I think that's not a problem. Yeah, that's not a problem. Binance, they have BUSD, we have HUSD. That's not a problem. But I'm saying Bitfinex reserve changes looks suspicious.
Okay, so that looks suspicious. Do you hold any Tether yourself?
No, I have USDC coin.
Okay, wow. I own quite a bit of Tether. Maybe I should move away from Tether a little bit.
Yeah.
What happens when that goes bust? Like if that crashes, because it's such a significant part of crypto right now?
What
happens if Tether gets exposed? If the Tether scam, as you put it, gets out there and people lose faith in Tether and the Tether price crashes, won't that be catastrophic for crypto?
Yeah, I think so, because a lot of people have Tether, and it's decreasing, but still a lot. And people were trying to change their Tether to other coins, but that's not going to be I think it will be maybe there. If you see other pairs, maybe it's bullish for in the short term, because people change their Tether to Bitcoins and other coins, but eventually Tether scam make people lose their trust in this industry.
That's the big problem, because it's such a forward-facing thing. It's one of the biggest arguments people say, like, if Bitcoin fails, everything fails, because you just lose trust in the industry if the flagship model just doesn't work, if the original first mover. And that's a big worry we've had with Tether a few times. I mean, when the price was trading in, I think it was 2018, it was at 0.8 dollars for a Tether, which to me made no sense. If there is anyone out there with a significant amount of money and they have faith in Tether, why would every cent of their net worth not be in Tether when it's at 0.8? So that made no sense to me. And I mean, that's not even, what you're looking at behind the scenes. That's just me as a logical individual. No coin, which anyone with any amount of money is backing, should be able to drop to 0.8 and be at that price ever. That's what didn't make sense to me. And I'm glad you've kind of explained the situation a little bit more, that you agree. I'm definitely going to move a little bit more away from Tether, and maybe some of our listeners will do the same. Keith, my last question is going to be whether or not you've been tracking Ethereum at all, and whether or not DeFi has been something of interest to you this year.
So the question is,
are you tracking Ethereum closely, and can you use this information to better trade DeFi? The DeFi.
Yeah, sure. For Ethereum, it's very interesting that we can profile their accounts. Bitcoin has, for Bitcoin, a single entity can own a bunch of addresses, right?
Yeah.
But for Ethereum, people use just one account. And so basically we can profile the trading styles for that Ethereum account.
Mm-hmm.
For example, people use Uniswap, DeFi exchanges. There are smart contract transactions out there. So by analyzing that, we can classify profit takers for DeFi staking.
Yeah.
So if someone stake the one project and then they stake another project, pull out the money and then stake another project and then keep doing that, it's gonna be those guys are gonna be profit takers, right?
Yeah.
So this is just an example of profit takers and just stakers who actually believe in the project's future. So we're gonna launch ERC20 flows at the end of this year. We only support Chainlink flows for now, but for ERC20 tokens, the purpose of sending those coins is just only selling those coins. There's nothing to do with just ERC20 tokens on exchanges. They can't stake those coins. They can't just it's just for selling. So we're conducting our research on correlation between the ERC20 tokens price and their inflows.
It's incredible with all of these assets. There's so much creativity behind the data analytics that you guys do. You have to adapt it to every single coin. What made Chainlink come on why is Chainlink on, but the other tokens aren't? What made Chainlink come on first for you guys?
So we believe decentralized finance, and I think Chainlink is gonna be huge because we think the next keyword would be synthesized asset.
Okay.
And so we started from DeFi, and then people next year people will eager about the tokenized stocks, like just FTX did, right? They
Amazing.
just issued Coinbase tokens. So Chainlink would be play a key role on that there, I think.
Why Chainlink over other decentralized oracles? Because there are competitors coming into the market now. What makes Chainlink the one you guys are putting your money on?
So my developers, they think Chainlink development community is pretty solid, and it's simple. Chainlink is the largest market cap, as I know. Yeah. So we're providing data business for traders, and it's really important to sort out the coins that have pretty huge market cap. So that's why we selected Chainlink.
So the biggest market cap, it's got a fantastic community behind it. I'm also pretty bullish on Chainlink for similar reasons. First mover in the Oracle space. I think that's going to be a huge advantage combined with the big community. So not only are they the first movers, but they've got the most developers. So they move first and they're moving the fastest. So I think it's natural to think that they could do something great next year. And our listeners are going to love, Key, that you were bullish on Chainlink. A great note to finish this off on. If anyone wants to find out more about data, on-chain data analytics, I know they can check out CryptoQuant. There'll be a link in the description below for anyone who wants to see that. Key, is there anything you'd like to leave our listeners with before we wrap it up? This could be a little motivational thing for them, or it could just be a thank you. I've had a good time, and hopefully a good time. So the floor is yours. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. People invest in cryptocurrencies with religious belief, and there's no databases. So we want to change the investment culture so that people can make their investment more data-driven and evidence-based. So please check out our platform. You can use our platform with 1 month free for a start. And follow us on Twitter. There are tons of nuggets of insights for on-chain analytics. Thank you.
Perfect, Key. Thank you so much for your time. Our listeners are going to absolutely love what they've learned about on-chain analytics. And I can't forget, congratulations so much on the work you did with the government and put a lot of terrible people behind bars. I think that's something to be proud of forever. Meditators, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Market Meditations podcast. I will see you again next time. Bye, Key. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Market Meditations podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like us to continue bringing you fascinating people from across the world, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you like to listen to these podcasts, and share the episode with a friend. If you have feedback or an idea for a potential guest, reach out to me on Twitter at 𝐏𝐸𝐻, and do not forget we write a newsletter covering all important topics in crypto and traditional markets. We send it out 3 times a week. The Market Meditations newsletter. You also get early access to these episodes, and you get transcripts and extra notes as well. So make sure to subscribe there as well.